Everybody, it's John King, and I am here today to talk to you about the process of buying a home and really answer the question I get a lot from people about, is it too early to talk to you about buying a house? Think about it. I've really spent a lot of time looking back at some of the clients I've talked to, and I find that people end up around a year to two, maybe even 3 years before they actually purchase a home, when they start really thinking long and hard about, hey, should I buy a house, a year from now? Should I be talking to my lender now? And so I want to answer some of those questions about things that you should be aware of ahead of time, and things that you should not really try and embark on your own, but instead get some professional help on, questions that you should be digging into before you get too close to actually pulling the trigger to buy a home. So first of all, what issues do you need to be aware of? What do you need to worry about when you say, I'm ready to buy a house a year from now, and I think I'm ready, or I know I need to fix my credit, and so these are the things that I know I need to do. And many people don't know what those issues are. So I talk about the 3 C's is what we're going to cover today, and that's cash, credit, and income, or collateral. Cash, credit, and capacity. That's the other C. Cash, credit, and capacity. Capacity really is your income. And so those are the only 3 things as a lender that we care about. And I want to give you kind of the things that you can be fixing ahead of time, and issues that you should be worried about addressing in each one of those 3 categories. So we're going to start with the first category, which is cash, or your assets. First of all, cash. Cash is a 4-letter word in my industry. So do not use cash to buy things. In other words, let me say it in a different way. Don't use cash to deposit into your checking account. That's the biggest problem with cash, because if you're depositing cash on a regular basis, I can't use that money. If you meet with me early and we identify the fact that you have income coming from cash sources, or you have deposits coming from cash sources, maybe you go to the bank every month and you cash your paycheck at the bank that your employer draws it from. Then you go across the street to your bank and deposit that cash. The problem is I can't use that cash because it does not show that it came directly from your paycheck. So it's little things like that that we can adjust ahead of time. Maybe you don't keep money in the bank. Maybe you believe in keeping money in a mattress. Maybe you believe in keeping money in your safe at home. There's a lot of different things that people do with their money that if I know ahead of time, I can help you to deposit that money in a way that I can then validate it and use that money down the road. So that's a huge key to being able to buy a house down the road, is let's make sure your cash is in the right place and in the right way that we can use it from the beginning. You got to trail your money. And so if you move money around a lot, I'll be able to identify that and give you advice on how to move money in a more traceable method so that we don't have issues when you end up buying a home. And that comes down to the final piece, which is seasoned funds. So if I see money that just appears within the last 60 days of when you're actually buying a home, I can't use that money unless I can prove where it came from. But if we plan ahead of time, we can plan for where the money is going to come from, how to get it so that we can use it legitimately. That really helps when we're dealing with cash and asset issues, of being able to get you set appropriately ahead of time and being able to be ready to buy a home. So the next thing I want to talk about is credit issues. So credit is a very, very big deal that can cause some pretty major issues regarding you thinking you know how to solve the problem and doing it the wrong way. So I think about credit, and the biggest myths that come up is people think, hey, if I pay off all my debt, that's going to help improve my credit score. That's just not true. The fact is, you need to show that you are making payments to show that you are responsible. But more importantly is the advice that I give about how to manage your credit has more to do with your credit history than it has to do with anything else. And so if you have phenomenal credit history, the advice I'm going to give is different than if you have spotty credit history. And the biggest area of problems I see is people thinking, I know what I need to do to fix my credit. I'm going to work on that. I won't let my lender pull my credit until I fixed it. And maybe you're working on the wrong things, or worse yet, you're causing more damage. So talk to me early. Talk to me so that I can give you specific advice after pulling your credit report and letting you know what to do. Sometimes you don't need to do anything to fix your credit. Maybe your credit's a 740 and you think, man, I need an 800 credit score to get the best possible loan terms. That's not true either. We will give you exactly the same loan terms, whether you have a 740 credit score or an 800 credit score, in 9 out of 10 circumstances. And so spending money to fix your credit to get it to an 800 doesn't help you at all. So again, that's another situation where when you think you're doing the right thing to improve your situation, it just isn't. That's the second piece when it comes to credit issues. And finally, income. So income seems pretty straightforward. I either make enough money or I don't. But there's a lot of planning that can come into play. If you work for a regular job where you're getting paid a certain amount of dollars per hour, this isn't as challenging. But if you receive any type of unique income, commission, bonus, overtime, especially if you're self-employed or if you're thinking of making changes that moves you from one of those categories to another, planning for your income is huge. Planning to make sure that we take the right steps is extremely important. And it makes me think back to a client that I had 3 or 4 years ago, and she was working on credit issues, and she had told me, "Hey, John, I know I'm not qualified, but I just need to work on my credit and I'll get it fixed." And I implored her to let me take a look. And she goes, "No, I talked to a different lender and they told me what to do about my credit. And so I did. I'm working on that. I'll talk to you in a while." And about a year later, she ends up calling me back and says, "Hey, I fixed my credit. I'm in great shape now and I can absolutely help or absolutely qualify now because I've solved my credit problems." And I said, "Great, come on in, let's meet." And she brought in her income taxes and her bank statements. And lo and behold, she had zero profit showing on her tax returns. She made a lot of money as a self-employed person in gross income, but after her expenses, she had almost no profit. And she was devastated because she had thought that, hey, I make $100,000 a year. That's gross income. She didn't realize that we look at net income. And so that is a major issue when you don't have a lender look at all of your problems or all of your circumstances, because she didn't realize she had a problem with income. And had that lender looked at everything instead of just the credit, she would have been better prepared to buy a home that year later when she worked on fixing her credit reports. So again, income issues are sometimes things that people don't think are a problem, but if you let it sit and you just expect that, oh, I don't have an issue with that, so I don't need to talk to my lender, maybe there's an unknown issue that you didn't know existed. The other thing a lot of people do is they put off changing their job because they think, hey, if I change my job, then I won't qualify for a mortgage. Well, here's the truth. Changing your job sometimes doesn't matter. Most of the time doesn't matter. So don't put off changing your job simply because you think it's going to stop you from buying a home, but make sure you talk to me before you change that job, because it depends on the circumstances as to whether it's going to matter or not. So here's the bottom line. Don't try and figure it out yourself. I am here to give free consultations to help you figure out whether you're ready or not. There are a lot of situations where I meet with somebody that says they don't think they're ready, and we find out they really are, and then they have the choice. They can choose to buy now or they can choose to wait instead of being stuck thinking that they have to wait and that they don't have a choice. Other times I meet with people and they're right. They don't qualify. They don't have good enough income, or they don't have good enough credit, but at least I'm giving them the right advice to fix that problem. And I'm looking at all of the circumstances, all of the 3 C's, to make sure that they have enough cash, make sure they have good enough credit, make sure they have the capacity necessary to buy, instead of just looking at the one issue they identify and end up finding out a year later that they have another issue they didn't know about. So hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to post a question right now. Otherwise, I really, really appreciate everybody watching. I'm here to provide as much information as I can, but don't believe anything you see on the internet, including me. You need to have a personal consultation. You need to specifically listen to somebody look at your situation and give you advice based upon exactly what your circumstances are. So give me a call. I would love the opportunity to help you out. You can call us. You can email us. I hope everybody has an absolutely amazing day. I appreciate you listening in, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.